My name is Justyna Osowska, at Women Blockchain on Twitter, and I'm here with a very special guest in DC. Isiah, how are you doing today?
Great, how are you? Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you as well. Good to see you, great panel beforehand. Love to see all the work that you're doing in the space, so why don't you tell everybody what you do?
Yeah, I'm the CEO of BlazeFi Game and co-founder, and we are a licensed digital gaming and career pathway company, as well as the CEO and co-founder of Appearing Global Institute, which is a micro-credentialing company in 120 countries that offers career pathways, what we call micro-learning, to individuals who are trying to upskill themselves.
Excellent, and we all need that.
Right.
So this interview is specifically about how is blockchain increasing financial literacy?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think what we're seeing now, what's happening in the world right now is this key skill of understanding budgeting and managing. Blockchain allows the ability where everyone can have an open space and starting even at an earlier age to be able to do this. We don't have to wait and say, do I take this course in a class? When we look at the worlds of how we're reaching our different markets, TikTok and all those different aspects, blockchain speeds up that process, more importantly, makes it more efficient and effective.
Excellent, I totally agree with that. The other question I have, what about when education is gamified?
When education is gamified, is more socially engaging, right? I mean, what we found that students who are involved with gaming are more likely, 70% more likely, one, to score higher in STEM classes in math and science because they're socially engaged. It's their space, it's where they feel comfortable at. And that's just probably one of the biggest advantages. Studies have shown that. More importantly, it brings out those who may be introverts, right? Mm-hmm. Now, in that space in gaming, and having it gamified, it allows them to bring out that side as an extrovert without even realizing they're doing it.
Wow, that's amazing. So how do you think the combination of both is going to take financial literacy forward?
Here's the biggest advantage we see. One of the companies that we also own is called My KidBiz Financial Literacy Program. And what we've done, there's a game out there called the NFL Visa Financial Football, which also has a soccer and also a baseball component where it asks students, at different levels, rookie, pro, level Hall of Famer, about what is a bond, and if you don't call the right play, you'll get sacked. But if you call the right play, you'll score many yards. So the gamification piece is helping other kids understand the balance of if I make a decision about understanding what is a debit card and what is a credit rating, it'll help them sustainable in their lives, long-term sustainability.
And in your previous answer, you also mentioned that the retention rate in their mind is higher, that 70% rate. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. What we found, a research study have shown, one, not only is the retention rate around, because they can connect it to what they're doing in their everyday lives. For example, if they see it in the gaming aspect, say if they're making a move inside of a game, they remember that move in the game, they're now correlating that with how do I do this in a math step, a geometry step. Weird, I was able to experience that with my son. While he was also taking Chinese, he was also playing a game on his online class where he could somehow connect what he was learning in his Chinese math with his gaming moves on Fortnite.
Wow.
And it was the weirdest thing we'd ever seen. So I've seen it firsthand. Now it's valid, of course, what he's doing now. But I think what he did, and I asked him, I said, Michael, how are you getting this math right on Chinese? He said, Dad, it was simple. I was counting the steps of what it was doing here when I was playing Fortnite, and I said, well, if you did that and you take that divided by that, then when I shot the guy over here, I broke it down the same way in Chinese math. We'll take this step, and when I missed a step, I messed up on the game. When I missed a step, I messed up on the math problem. I said, I don't know how you figured it out, but the answer is correct. So I think we're not giving our kids credit of what they're actually learning, right? Realizing that they came out of the womb basically already with technology in their hands. So our way of skilling now teachers, guys, as we talk about this, right? You guys are like Canada and all these areas. We have to think about there's a new way of what I call reimagining the delivery of education.
I agree with you on that because you know what? immersion is how people really learn because it affects your memory differently.
Yes.
So if there's a physical aspect to what you're doing and not just you doing it on a piece of paper or you taking it like with audio, the more senses that are involved, the more it's ingrained in your memory.
And you said the word visual.
Yes.
The visual learning aspect, I think that's what blockchain and everything is doing now, even more so. The visual learning aspect is now taking over even more so than we've probably ever seen ever in history.
I would say also, and the next step using the metaverse could be multi-sensory learning.
It is. It is. The engagement there. We're back to what we talked about earlier,
Yes.
right? You're talking about I can take an avatar and make it really cool about learning. I can be, we talked about it earlier, I can be this anonymous person, but more importantly, anonymous person, I can be whoever I want to be, but I'm actually engaged. And I think our teachers, our educators are going to have to start seeing that. Our workforce, corporate America and everyone, it's a slow churn, but it's here to stay.
I also heard that part of memory is spatial, so you mentioned something about your son, and
Right.
memory is actually the way humans evolved over time. We had external memory versus, internal memory versus now we're using external. We've externalized with hard drives, like you want to know something, no one remembers it, but you can go on Google and find out in seconds. But whenever you're engaging your senses, it goes into your long-term memory.
And we're remembering something that we view as important. Let's take out something as simple as this. We probably can't remember our phone number for our family members because we have it saved as a favorite on our phones, right?
That's right.
But somehow, Michael was able to remember that every step that I made in that game, he correlated that to his math in Chinese. And somehow, it was a different type of memory. So I say, it's almost like we want to remember what we want to remember.
That's true, and to add to your point, I read a couple books about memory. One of the things that they say is engaging both sides of your brain.
That is correct.
So if you engage like a sense like walking and space, it goes into your deeper memory. Or let's say like what he's saying about there's a response in the game that could be emotional. That also is another sense, right? So now you're like visual, potentially, even they say people who are in avatars, they think it's so real, they think they're doing the move.
They think they're in it.
Right?
They're like, I'm this person, for real.
Exactly.
And technically they are, right? But they were like, I'm this person. And they were able to go into another world that really allows them to let them be them. I always call it's allowing them to be brand me. And that's their world. And as long as I always share with parents, don't have them run away from gaming. Seek to understand what's going on. I mean, look, there are over 700 colleges and universities that offer full gaming scholarships. Why would you turn your kid away from that? The jobs are too plentiful out there. So plentiful offering careers. Remember, you're correct. You're dead on with how it's engaging both sides. We've never had that. What do we say? You either learn to left brain, left side or right side.
Right.
We're in a world now where blockchain and metaverse and all that now changes all that. And that's a good thing.
Actually, I don't know if you know this, but back before, when memory was more internal, they used storytelling to remember things. And they used, another thing that they used for memory was memory palaces, which was correlated to space.
Right. So yeah, absolutely. So back then, I always tell my kids, I said, listen, don't try to memorize that math problem stuff. Work through it. But the difference is, as much as I'm saying don't do that, they're almost like fighting against it, saying, no, Dad, remember, when you taught us to play chess, you said, think these 13 moves ahead or this 18 moves ahead. You were basically telling us to memorize the steps. So I was like, oh, right. You're like, so why you can't change it on understanding the steps in education? So.
Well, I think change takes time as well.
It does.
Right? So it's not like you go from A to Z like this.
Right.
That it's also like, but what you said I think is important here is how did the problem solving in one case help in the other, right? So it's like transferable skills. How do you transfer, from this to this? So it's like, how come this, you think you're just studying, let's say, how to install a blockchain wallet and going through the steps, but that teaches you more about risk, right? So that's something you can transfer.
And a risk that you're willing to take, knowing that it's not going to be the end of the world. See, he was like, oh, I made the wrong moves. In a gaming move, he was like, oh, I got killed. well, wait a minute. But then he correlated that was, if I missed this step in math, I got a bad grade. So again, the correlations was unreal. I've never figured out, don't want to figure out. He's doing well in it. I was like, if you got it, if you like it, I love it. Because it came out with an A. I'm happy.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time
Absolutely.
today. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
And I'll see you at the rest of the conference.
Yeah, thank you, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.